Hello viewers at home, welcome to another beautiful edition of AGRI-PRENEUR on Independence Television, Abuja. I remain Simon Adeniji, and like you all know, I'll be taking you through the conclusive aspects of cattle rearing, which is a topic we've been doing lately, couple of weeks now. So basically today, what we are focused on letting you know more about or throwing more light on is the usefulness of byproducts. Those are the cattle byproducts, and we'll try and do justice to some of the housing structures, the things you need to know and the things you need to put in place for intending farmers and people that are already in the system. The things you must have on your farm and the things that will really make your life as a cattle farmer better. So we'll start from the housing structures, the stuffs that you have that you should look into when you're looking at going into cattle farming, regardless of the species you are keeping, the breed, the family, either exotic breeds or local breeds that we have around. So basically those are the things we will be looking at. Firstly, the important things that you need to know in keeping in having a farm ranch, cattle ranch, or keeping milk breeds of cow is that your farm must be well fenced and security measures must be put in place. When I'm saying security measures, maybe barbed wire on your fence, electric fence wire, and all other stuffs, aside from security officers or personnel that you might have to put on ground to make sure that they curtail every act of theft and make sure that nothing goes wrong. Because basically I don't see any good thing when you are trying your hard, putting your hard-earned money in a farm and you're having cases of theft. And we know that in this part of the country, cattle is no exception. We've had series of cases whereby farms are being burgled, cattle moved away, and even the ones that are on free range and the ones that are ranched. So you really need to make sure that your security measure is a top notch. That is one thing you don't want to compromise when you are looking at going into cattle farming, because none of these things come by cheap, and you need to put a lot of things in place to make sure that whatever you are spending is secure. So having that said and done, cattle, they are animals that most people, a layman, believe that cattle can stand any weather. They can be in the rain, they can be in the sun, they can be this, they can be that. But like every other animal, there's a limit to all these things that their body can take. Some people believe that when it's raining, you don't have to provide a shelter for your cow. They love the rain. When it's sunny, when the sun is too much, when the temperature is high, you don't have to do anything about it. They will be fine. But the basic truth is that the reason why most farm animals come down with serious sickness and diseases is because, number one, if you fail in putting in place the necessary structures in terms of their housing system, then you're already inviting a lot of danger to in your farm. So this is one thing you have to know. Cattle are not resistant to heat. They are not resistant to cold and other environmental temperature and weather and climatic effects. When it's too cold, a cattle will might come down with pneumonia. That's when you see them, they start, you see mucus coming out from their nose. They show lots of symptoms. Their wool or the fur becomes swollen like they are being combed. So those are the kind of symptoms you notice. But then you have to make sure that you put in place a proper housing structure for your cow. A kind of housing structure that can control temperature when it is hot, that can control temperature when it is cold. A kind of housing structure that when it's raining, rain doesn't beat them unless you want them to be in the rain. And there's this thing you will notice for people that are already in the system, for cattle farmers that are already practicing. You know that when your animals are in the rain and the rain starts, there's a kind of heat they emit from their body initially. So that kind of heat they emit from their body initially is the thermal the thermal they have contained so far in their body. And when this heat starts coming out, what it's telling you is that the inner temperature of the cow is being changed and regulates. When the heat is out, it's almost out, like everything in their body is almost out. Then it means that if the temperature was at 7 degrees, probably at that 7 degrees the body was hot, and they are being exposed to cold temperature. When the temperature starts dropping, it gets to a stage when it becomes harmful for them. So that is number one reason why you have to put in place a very good structure that can contain when it is hot and when it is cold, so that they have whatever they need in terms of temperature sorted out. So the facilities that you need in the housing structure is, number one, a proper drainage. What I mean by drainage does not really affect the cow directly, but it affects other activities and practices and might eventually affect what you have as structures on your farm. Any farm that doesn't have a proper drainage are always liable to come down, to collapse. So you need to have a proper drainage on your farm. Then secondly, you need to have a proper feeding trough. The feeding trough is the type of things you put in place to make sure that whenever your cows need to be fed, that is where you put their food. You don't just say because they are cow, they are animal, you just bring their forage, you bring the leaves, you bring whatever formulated feed or whatever you choose to feed your cow with, and you pour it on the floor. Number one, you are wasting resources because they will not eat everything. Immediately it becomes messy, they leave it and they go. So whatever is left over there is a waste, which will tell on your overall production cost. So you don't want to waste resources, your feed. Now you have to put in place a proper feeding trough for them to eat. Another thing is the water trough too. Now basically a lot of farmers mix things up, thinking that whenever you have cow, you can only provide feed for them. Then because mostly what a lot of people do is they practice a semi-ranching system of cow farming, which means that you leave your animals in the morning at home or in the farm, you feed them, you give them light feeding, and you allow them to walk out. So what most people does is that they just give them that light feeding in the house and without providing water for them, hoping that when they go out, they drink. It is not only a bad practice, it is harmful for your cattle. And if you notice, if you know how much you have really put into these things, I'm very sure you wouldn't want to expose them to danger that might ruin your stock. Number one, the water they are going to drink outside, you don't know the source. Even if it is river, it is well, whatever water they are going to drink, you don't know the source. So you must provide a proper drinking trough for your cattle, whereby they have access to clean water right in the farm before they step out, if at all they have to step out. We have been campaigning and talking so much about the usefulness of ranching your cows. That's giving them everything they need in your farm, because it does not only reduce the risk of theft, it gives you an overall idea of what you have a control over what your cow eats and drink. So having them ranched around exposes them to a lot of danger that we had discussed earlier on the program, and it's not where we're going today. So just to say, now after putting in place the water trough and the drinking trough, there's another practice that a lot of farmers don't look into when constructing their cattle farms. The kind of structure you choose to use for the floor matters a lot, owing to the fact that these cattle have hoof, which serves like their shoe that they match the floor with. It doesn't mean that they cannot slip and fall. We had witnessed a lot of scenes like that when cattle sleeps, fall, break leg, or have come up with some kind of injury. So you make sure that the floor you're doing for your cattle is not so smooth. It is graded. What I mean by graded is they don't just use plaster and just put everything like that and blend it to be so smooth. The blending has to be a rough surface. And what I mean by rough surface, the quantity of cement you use matters a lot. The depth of the first top layer has to be nothing less than 4 inches. The least 4 inches thickness. They are known to be heavy animals, and when they come down with their weight, even matching the floor, if you do just let's get done with it, you'll have yourself to blame, because when you're supposed to be expecting profits, you'll be spending money on maintenance, that which you should have put in place right from the beginning. So basically, like the video you're seeing now, you can see the house structure, the way it's been constructed, and you will see that aside from the roof system, when you have to put your zinc in a corrugated form up north, so that when water is coming, it flows down. Another thing you would look into is the ridge cap. The way the ridge cap has to be designed in a way that air flow can move around. Air coming in can circulate and have a way of pushing away the heat that is already in the farm, because cows emit heat a lot, most especially in the night when they had walked around, exercised their body. The heat they had in their body start coming out, and they emit it. So when this heat is too much, it is so harmful for them because it pollutes the quality of the air they breathe in. So your housing system should be in a way that can allow fresh air to come in, and the heat in their body will emit, the heat they emit from their body will go out towards every direction of the farm. Then having said that, another thing you have to look into is the management of the dung, that is cow dung. I'll still talk about usefulness of these things, because basically most farmers think that when you have a cattle farm, all you are expecting is milk and meat, which is totally wrong. Recent research and a lot of things has really proven that there are 101 things you can do with cow or cattle. So I'll try to do justice to that much later. So basically now you have to put in place a kind of structure that allows, if it cannot be self-cleaning, which could be a bit expensive, but you have to put in place a kind of structure that will allow you to clean their house on a regular basis. Because number one thing that expose your farm stocks to diseases and danger is the kind of environment they live in. Can you imagine yourself being in a house where you poop, you urine, you do every mess in your house there, and you still expect to live fine? We all know that nobody would want to do that. So that is why you have to at times you have to think you have to look at it like the way you want things to be done to yourself. That is the kind of treatment you should give to your livestock as well. So don't allow the house to be always dirty, knowing too well that all these byproducts could be converted to cash for you. Don't allow their house to be always dirty. You have a lot of things to do that you can do with all these byproducts. For instance, basically let me round up with the housing structure before I go into what the byproducts from cow is being used for. So get a housing system that allows you to clean their house properly, where whatever comes out in terms of waste is being collected to a place. If not separately, it should be collected to a place. But there are housing structures and designs that we can put in place that whatever comes out from them gets to be separated for further processing and usage. So you have to make sure that the housing system is self-cleaning. If not self-cleaning, is the type that can allow you to have access to clean out their waste products those are the basic things that you really need to put in place. And another thing that I would quickly like to talk about is in milk cows. That's the milking cattle, the ones that give the dairy cows that give birth, that give forth, the dairy cows that give forth to the milk that we'll have in the market. So the kind of housing structure that you put in place for the dairy cattle has to be the type that makes it easy for them to be milked. And there are housing structures now known in the Western world. There are not much of it here, but we have about one or two here in the country presently that is fully automated. It has ability to dictate which cow is ready to be milked, milks the cow, brushes their fur, all on its own. This could be put in place, and you can work towards having it if you have the capacity. But if you still don't have the capacity, it doesn't mean that you cannot do something less that will give you full potential, that will make you to have access to full potential from your livestock. So those are basically the things you need to know. Then the lighting system in a cattle farm. Most people used to think that cattle doesn't need, like their house system doesn't need to have lights. You don't have to power light for them, which is totally wrong. At least a milking cow should have at least 8 hours of light in their housing system. And meat cows might have less, but it doesn't mean that you should keep their house in total darkness. So you have to know how to go about all these procedures and processes to get the best out of your cattle. So now, having done that, that is how much I can really go on the housing structure. So the number on your screen is what you can call if you want further information, or probably you want us to do something together. So now we'll be moving to the byproducts, the things that the byproducts of cow or cattle is being used for. You know, it will surprise you to know that a higher percentage of the cosmetics that we use and we see in the market today is part of the byproducts from the cattle. This is why you don't just focus on milk and meat when you're talking of cattle farming. So number one of the byproducts, which is fat, doesn't end in the butcher's table. It doesn't end in the abattoir. Some of these byproducts, some of these fats is being exported and treated and worked on, and is being used as body cream for people that use cream. I know most of us uses cream, and you don't even know where some of the primary products comes from, but we all know that we use cream. So some of these products come from cow, from the cattle fat. They extract the cattle fat, process it, and make it out to be cream that we use today. Another thing is the collagen. Collagen is part of the byproducts from the cattle that they process. They use it in cosmetic. They use it in the healthcare industry, in the medical industry. It's an anti-aging chemical or substance that they use when it's been injected into the face and other body for plastic surgery. You might be surprised, but it's part of the cattle's byproduct. Another thing that cattle byproduct is used in some pain relief, that is the pancreas. It's used as one of the best insulin that you can have in the market and in the medical industry. So it's been used for painkillers and pain relief because of its effectiveness. So those are the things from the medical and the cosmetic aspect. Now, the basic alternative to what you can use, those are the people that are into the horticulture. Cattle dung could be collected, processed into flower vase. This is a practice that is going on in some part of the world, and the result is awesome. We are doing a lot of research, and a lot of things is coming out positive. And aside from the cattle dung being processed as flower vase, it is also an alternative to firewood that we know here, that we call firewood. You can actually process a cattle dung to firewood. We call it cattle dung log. So cattle dung log is known to be more effective than firewood and gives you all year round access to firewood if you need it, because we know that in this part of the country there are times that you don't have access to firewood. When it is raining, it is not much in the market, and a lot of things happen, the price hike and all of those things. But cattle dung log is a very good alternative. And for you to know, the number of carbon monoxide that burning a cattle dung log reduces into the atmosphere is way lower than what you have when you're using a normal firewood, which means that we can keep a healthy environment, have what we have, and good efficiency in using these byproducts from the cattle. So those are basically the things that you need to know when it comes to cattle dung. Then another thing is cattle urine. That's the urea that you collect from cattle. Is being used as insecticide and pesticide and a lot of other chemicals that you see in the market. And for my colleagues that are in the fishery department, do you know that a pregnant cow urine can be collected and used in place of hormonal injection that we use in fish? Yes, it has been tested and proven that the quantity of what you need in the hormonal injection for fish, that is when you're talking of the artificial semination of catfish and production, which we call spawning, you can get it from a pregnant cow urine in place of all these products that we buy to use, which of course doesn't come by cheap. So those are part of the things that you might really want to know. I wish we can go on, but basically that's how far we can go on today's episode on cattle housing system and the structures that you need to put in place when talking about cattle farming. Thank you, and don't forget to stay tuned, same time, same station next week. I am Simon Adeniji.